So,
Hello.
hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Swamp Rose, and tonight my guest is Robert with True Crime Podcast. Robert, welcome.
Hello. How you doing, Kiki?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. We had a beautiful day here on Cape Cod. The weather was like absolutely perfect. I hope things were good where you are too.
Yeah, it was about 74 degrees. Um, it was a lazy day basically for me.
Me too. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was actually a really productive day, but it was nice to relax when I could.
I
So,
was potty training a puppy half the day.
well, that's always makes a full day.
Yeah. Yeah. He had like one minor accident. I was sitting on the couch with him, and he decided to take a number two on the couch.
You got to take them out before it happens. That's the secret, I think, to puppy shading.
No. Well, I had taken him out, and he went number one outside, and he was headed back towards the door. So I'm like, okay, well, he must be done. Well, about an hour later, I'm sitting there on the couch, and I just happened to look over, and there he was in the middle. So I quickly tried to get him back outside. And by the time I got him outside, he had already was dropping it along the way to the outside.
Oh boy. Well, I'm glad he has your patience to teach him. So I don't know. I think we should just get right into our show. Robert and I have a really good show plan for you. There's been a couple things that we really think need a little bit more attention that people have been talking about on YouTube today. I'm just turning off my camera. I made a little video actually, so I'm going to present it to you. And what I've done is I've made some sound bites from two different. Let me pull up this video. I made some sound bites from two different live streams that happened this week.
Okay.
And the first one, we go over a variety of topics, but the first one thing that I wanted to do is there was a absolutely incredible, informative live stream that I think that anyone in the true crime community would benefit from, which was featured on Social Aid Crime Club earlier this week.
Yeah.
And so you caught it, Robert? I know we were live streaming for part of it, but
Well, I caught the first part, but I didn't get to catch the second part because we went live.
yeah.
But I want to go back and watch it though. And that was a really long live we had, like almost 5 hours. I was exhausted afterwards, but it was an awesome live, and we had a lot of good chat going on in the live chat.
It was a great live, and I actually took a bunch of highlights from that live and I've edited them into this video. So we're going to go over several things. Just so the audience has an idea. Oh, something's going on. Just so the audience has an idea of what we're going to be talking about. So Cyril is going to be covering a few different things, and he's bringing his knowledge and expertise as to gag orders and a variety of different things, including evidence and how it's disseminated into the public. So I've kind of narrowed it down into about 10, 15 minutes of sound bites for this. And then in Robert's live stream, we actually have some boots on the ground stuff that we want to share with you. So Twiz, who's one of my managing mods, was actually at the hearing. And we just asked him a bunch of questions. And so I figured I'd show you that. We're also going to talk about a couple of other little things in the case. So I'm going to present this video, and we're just going to talk to the chat as we go.
Okay.
And Robert, if you want me to stop at all so you can talk about it, let me know. And while this is going, I'll make, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
While this is happening, I'm going to make a banner. So please please visit Social Aid Crime Club and subscribe to them. And I'll put a banner up so you have the handle as we get going. Okay. I'm having trouble here.
just a little bit because it came up again tonight. Like I've seen it 3 times tonight, 3 times, people. So I want to talk about this just a little bit. We talked about something this week, and we got a lot of traction on some other shows. There were a lot of comments about it. So I want to cover, what is a gag order?
Yeah.
Like,
So
why do the courts issue a gag order? What is it used for? What does that mean? Who does it apply to?
And thank goodness for Brianna, because she actually tracks, well, her and our entire team, actually, they do track a lot of information that's out there that people have just questions about, that there seems to be a lot of confusion around, or maybe some misinformation, or people just trying to figure out and they don't have any clear answers. And so Bria came to us and said, hey, I think this would be a really good idea if you'd cover this, because it seems that people are searching for answers and clarity on this. So that's what we're going to do for you now.
Yeah. So, and I want to start with a couple of things that might surprise a lot of people. It is totally normal for gag orders to be in place. I would say probably half of the cases that I've worked over the last 30 years, we've had a gag order in place. So number one, this is not special to some certain case. We see this all the time. I am currently under multiple gag orders. So it's not just one case that I've seen this. I'm like, oh, wow, that's weird. I'm under a gag order. Me getting served by a process server or a subpoena or a gag order is a Thursday for us. So it's very, very common, is the first thing I want to get into. This is not abnormal at all. The second thing that people need to understand is that, especially on high profile cases, somebody coming in and looking at evidence early in the case before anything has been put out to the public, and then for some reason no longer working on that case and divulging the things that they have seen, completely perverts the justice system. And this isn't just a defense thing. It screws up the entire case. The prosecution can have all kinds of problems. The defense can have all kinds of problems. It's a big deal. So as these cases go, law enforcement is actually restricted. Law enforcement, if you really screw this up, and I've seen it in a couple of cases, you can be fired. So there is some actual things that can happen to law enforcement officers if they violate this. They don't have to necessarily sign a gag order. But for an expert who is not involved in the initial investigation but gets involved later on, this is super common. Before anything is really communicated back and forth with either prosecution or defense, depending on what you're doing with your expertise, you will typically be sent these gag orders. And the gag order will say, hey, the judge has actually brought this gag. Now, one thing I want to talk about here a little bit is this piece right here. If an expert claims he or she received any evidence or any form of communication reference the following, they are bound by the gag order. It only relates to people who have been afforded the access to sealed evidence. So let's say that there's a case, hypothetical, not going to talk about any particular case, hypothetical, there's a case where, I don't know, maybe an affidavit, a search warrant affidavit gets released to the public. You can Google it and it pops up. Okay, that is now public information. The gag order no longer pertains to that probable cause affidavit because it's out to the public. Everybody has seen it. However, there's a lot of stuff in that case or any other case or something else where that stuff hasn't been seen. And the problem becomes when you start to get people who are commenting on this before it actually goes into court, it doesn't follow the criminal justice system. And it can really, like I said earlier, pervert things. So where I wanted to cover in this a little bit further, because it really irritated me, I watched part of the video, I could barely stomach to get through it, of this guy, this expert. And he's an expert, he's testified an expert, I'll give it to him, he's an expert. But he testifies about how he made contact with a particular prosecution and defense team, reviewed some evidence, and he bailed out. And now he's talking about...
Oh, he bailed out because they couldn't afford him.
Yeah, just a number of different things. Well, if you look at what I have in italics here, number one, you will never see a piece of actual evidence on a criminal investigation as an expert. If that case is under a gag order, you have to sign the gag order. Nothing will be turned over to you until you sign a gag order. On top of that gag order, there's typically an NDA, and it's a non-disclosure agreement. What's really important with NDAs is a lot of times non-disclosure agreements will actually say, hey, you can't even tell anybody you're working this case until it gets released through the courts. So a lot of experts who are working on these particular cases, they can't even tell people like, hey, I'm part of this case because it hasn't been put on the court record yet. So for someone to say, I worked on this case, I reviewed this data, I now have these opinions, you're violating pretty much everything that's in italics here. Evidence regarding the occurrence or transactions involved in the case, you can't talk about it. This one's really interesting. The character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party, victim, or witness. If I was to go on YouTube and challenge the credibility of a witness on an active case, and my challenge to that witness is based off of things that I've reviewed as part of this gag order, I've just violated the gag order. You can't do that. You can't comment on the...
Okay, Robert.
Okay, I would like to say I actually have a copy of the non-dissemination order that Magistrate Marshall actually brought down. I got it today, and it's an actual legitimate copy of the non-dissemination order from Magistrate Marshall, and it was dated January 2023.
That's really interesting. I mean, we'll definitely let's definitely go over that tonight at some point too. And it's interesting you're bringing that up, and they're mentioning this now. I really wanted to stop right here because I thought that this was incredibly fascinating, and I'm just gonna rewind what he said.
AR is in the chat.
Hey, AR.
And I wanted to mention before you started this again. I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days. For the time being, I'm going to focus on other cases other than the Idaho 4 because there's really nothing new going on in the case until the hearings start again, until the trial starts next year. I'm going to start focusing on different cases other than the Idaho 4 because I want my channel to grow, and I don't want to be remembered just as a one case channel.
Okay.
And I hope that you in the chat will support me in this and still tune in, even though I'm not doing the Idaho 4. I'll be doing like the Sebastian Rogers case and some of the other cases coming up. But I just feel like that my channel needs to grow. And needs to move past the Idaho 4 for the time being.
Well, we support you. You help us make, or you help me make content all the time, and I just I support whatever you want to do, and however we can help you in your journey, just let me know. I don't know what I really have to offer, and other than just like my opinion, but I'm happy to weigh in on any cases with you at any time. Just please let me know how I can help, and we support you, and we support you.
Yeah, I know my brother AR is supportive of it as well because I've been talking to him about it, off and on most of the day today, and so and AR, I love you, brother. I see you in chat, and I want to thank you for all the advice you've given me throughout the day today, and you've helped me make my mind up that I want to do other cases besides the Idaho 4.
AR, thank you. I'm gonna put and I just sent you a link, AR, if you want to join us on panel. I really hope I sent you the right link because I sent Robert the wrong link earlier. If I can get that. Let me recopy this and make sure I sent you the right one, AR. Well, Robert, what's the next case you're doing? Just to let the audience audience know what you have coming up.
I'm still going over the Sebastian Rogers case. I'm going to be putting out some more content about that over the next few days, and as well as the Noah Pressgrove case, and I'm starting to dabble in the Delphi case as well. So, I want to basically spread my wings from the Idaho 4 and go into other cases because I don't want to be a one-trick pony.
That sounds good. Sounds good. AR supports you too. The chat supports you. And you're still going to weigh in on the Idaho 4 or what?
For the time being, probably not.
Okay.
And not until there's something new that comes out, like the hearings or the trial next year. But because right now we're already just rehashing the same old stuff, and it's really starting to bog. It's really starting to bog down. And I don't want to rehash old stuff. I want to bring up new and fresh ideas, not only on the Idaho 4 case, but as well as the cases I'm going to be covering. because until we actually have another hearing on the Idaho 4 case, there's nothing new.
All right. Well, I totally respect your decision, and we'll be supporting you along the way. And then, other than Mikey wants to remind you that the 6th is the deadline for discovery, so there is going to be new information coming out. So don't forget that, Robert. And so, did you want to go over anything else right now about that? About the change in your channel? I don't want to cut you off before I go back into the.
I mean, we can go over what you have to go over tonight, yeah, especially some of the stuff that I sent you.
Okay.
But this is my last night for a while on the Idaho 4 case. Yeah, right. Because I feel like I'm becoming a one-trick pony, and I don't want to feel like that. I want to do something fresh, do something new.
Okay, I might be a one-trick pony. I don't know.
I still love you, Swamp.
And this is JB says, we never go too long without new information being dropped in this case. Just my opinion, of course. I feel the same way, but we support Robert, whatever decision he's making. So do you mind if I dive back into this Syray video?
No, I don't mind.
I rewound it.
This is your show.
Well, if you guys remember where we left off just a moment ago, we were watching Syray, and he started talking about what you can talk about underneath a gag order. And what's really interesting is he talks about what expert witnesses oftentimes run into when a gag order is put in place after they've reviewed information. And what he's talking about right now, which I'm rewinding for you, is he's talking about expert witnesses reviewing what a witness is going to say or an expert is going to say in trial. So I remember that part, and I just like to for you guys again. Sorry, Robert. Sorry.
Now I'm looking at the chat. Someone says, "Where is Brendan the Malaya of TRP?"
Yeah, everybody.
But yeah, I do plan on going back and watching the full Syray live stream. I only got to watch an hour of it before we went live the other night, and he's very insightful. I will say that he's very insightful.
I know. All right, let's get this video going.
Out of order in the court. Yes, I will be covering that case too. The 14-year-old psycho in Georgia today. Yes, I will be covering that case. I'm going to be diving in that case tomorrow.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know much about that case, but
basically, 14-year-old student today walked into his high school in Georgia and shot up the high school. He wounded 9 and killed 4.
It's tragic. It's tragic. So, but we also, so let's get back to this video. Hold on.
Okay.
Just so the people who are just tuning in, we're talking about witnesses. I'm actually going to go back 2 minutes because I really did want to talk about this. Well, I'm going to go back too far. I'll go back 1 more minute, but I do want to talk about this with the
until it gets released through the courts. So a lot of experts who are working on these particular cases, they can't even tell people like, "Hey, I'm part of this case," because it hasn't been put on the court record yet. So for someone to say, "I worked on this case, I reviewed this data, I now have these opinions," you're violating pretty much everything that's in my italics here. Evidence regarding the occurrence or transactions involved in the case. You can't talk about it. This one's really interesting. The character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party, victim, or witness. If I was to go on YouTube and challenge the credibility of a witness on an active case, and my challenge to that witness is based off of things that I've reviewed as part of this gag order, I've just violated the gag order. You can't do that. You can't comment on the case in any way, shape, or form. So we've been really careful with this, and we just had a couple questions come up before, and I know they're very random questions, but I have to avoid those because I'm sure you all can appreciate I don't want to be put in a situation where someone says, well, yeah, but you know what they were talking about. Because I have signed this gag order, and because I've signed this gag order, I can't talk about it at all. And I get really careful about even the hypothetical of talking about it. More importantly, and the reason I wanted to cover this tonight is when you see other experts who claim to have seen some type of evidence on any high-profile case in which a gag order is in place, they're lying. If they're not lying, it's actually violating a criminal court order. You can be held in contempt of court. It's a misdemeanor. It's jail time and a fine. So just be careful about when you see these people who say, oh, no, I saw this evidence or I saw this data. They probably didn't, because we take these gag orders very, very seriously. And any expert whose career is being an expert, you don't violate a gag order. You violate that gag order, you're done.
And if they're talking about that, then they probably need to be reported to law enforcement so that an investigation can begin on the truth of their statements
so
or
bad.
not.
My wife is brilliant. So anyway, I wanted to cover that a little bit because I know we've had a couple questions come up, and I'll just kind of go through them really quick. Yeah, and anybody can look this up. Just Google Fifth Circuit, Google geofence. It'll come up. You can read it yourself. If you go to the last page, one of the judges who was part of this ruling, I think he surmises his thoughts really, really well at the end. And basically he says, hey, law enforcement, we get it. This is going to sting. This is going to hurt. However, we also have seen in the past, when we give you latitude, you abuse it. And we're drawing the line because we don't want that abuse.
And we are not in disagreement with that. We have seen on
case because it hasn't been put on the court record yet. So for someone to say, I worked on this case, I reviewed this data, I now have these opinions, you're violating pretty much everything that's in italics here. Evidence regarding the occurrence or transactions involved in the case. You can't talk about it. This one's really interesting. The character, credibility, reputation, or criminal record of a party, victim, or witness. If I was to go on YouTube and challenge the credibility of a witness on,
so it's challenging the credibility. The gag order applies to that too. You can't go and challenge the credibility of an expert if you review the information. It sounds like
active case, and my challenge to that witness is based off of things that I've reviewed as part of this gag order.
Okay,
I've just violated
that's
the
the specification.
You can't.
So if you're challenging expert witness based off of things that you've reviewed that were under the gag order, then that's violating the gag order. And he's not talking about a specific case, but he doesn't have to. We can apply this with our own rational thinking to the cases that we're working on. Who is full of crap? Who is feeding us a line of crap? And one thing that he suggested in another live stream is when you get these experts, well, no, I'm not going to say I shouldn't do that because the person that I'm referencing is an actual expert. But when you get these people doing that, I mean, maybe we should look up their credentials. Maybe we should see what kind of cases they're working on. Maybe we should see like what what work they're standing behind. So I think that was another good clue. He doesn't say in this segment, but that was something I gathered from one of his last live streams too. Any takeaways, Robert, before I hit play again?
No, I do agree with what Cyrus says there, and we've heard a lot of people come onto this platform. I'm not going to mention no names, but I'm pretty sure Heather might. But we've had a lot of people come on and say they have exculpatory evidence, and their stories are constantly changing. So they really need to be vetted. They really need to be vetted before they even come on YouTube and spewing their poisonous nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely have learned so much about what kind of questions you ask when somebody comes on your show, how you're presenting them, but particularly when it comes to witnesses in a case. And I don't know, like if I were to start covering a new true crime story that wasn't under gag order, I just think to myself, like, how would I handle somebody who contacts you saying that they're a witness? And I mean, I've really thought about it. I just like, there's no witness that's ever going to feel safer calling into a live stream to someone who has 10,000 viewers than going to like NBC News. Like, there's no reason to do that. Like, I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about that. I don't know. But this is these live streams that Cy and Carrie are doing are really helping me with the disseminating of the information that I present to my audience. And I think that you've watched enough of them that are you finding them helpful, Robert, and how you?
Yeah, I'm finding them helpful, and it's teaching me how to, vet people who come to me with their insane emails. So yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Is that still going on for you? I haven't gotten any in a long time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I got like 9 more today, and I did not click on one of them. It said YouTube raid, and there was like a bunch of different creators' names in this thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not clicking on that. I'm deleting it.
Well,
and it came from Casa Miriam and Tamara Terry.
Stop. Let's not break. So both of those creators, I'm not trying to call you out. Please don't.
They're not creators. They just send wild emails.
They're both on YouTube. And Casa Miriam is a creator. She just doesn't go by that name. So we're sorry, you guys. That wasn't intentional. He's just, obviously you're directly emailing him, so he's saying stuff. And I'm going to stop.
Heather just said, Robert with True Crime Podcast, you should go to the FBI website and report cybercrimes.
It's a single form, but I'm not, we're not here to call anyone out. So hold on. I should read these comments before I put them up. Hold on.
You're learning from me.
I know, right? Okay, so let's finish this video.
Yep.
And we're going to get to a lot of stuff.
You can't comment on the case in any way, shape, or form. So we've been really careful with this, and we just had a couple questions come up before. And I know they're very random questions, but I have to avoid them because I'm sure you all can appreciate. I don't want to be put in a situation where someone says, well, yeah, but you know what they were talking about. Because I have signed this gag order. Because I've signed this gag order, I can't talk about it at all. And I get really careful about even the hypothetical of talking about it. More importantly, and the reason I wanted to come to this tonight is when you see other experts who claim to have seen some type of evidence on any high-profile case in which a gag order is in place, they're lying. If they're not lying, it's actually violating a criminal court order. You can be held in contempt of court. It's a misdemeanor. It's jail time and a fine. So just be careful about when you see these people who say, oh, no, I saw this evidence or I saw this data. They probably didn't, because we take these gag orders very, very seriously. And any expert whose career is being an expert, you don't violate a gag order. You violate that gag order, you're done.
And if they're talking about that, they probably need to be reported to law enforcement so that an investigation can begin on the truth of their statements.
You're so bad. My wife's brilliant. So anyway, I wanted to cover that a little bit because I know we've had a couple questions come up, and I'll just kind of go through them really quick. Yeah, and anybody can look this up. Just Google.
Okay, Robert, this is really interesting. So the next series of questions that they talk about, they're going to be talking about the different ways that there's been some rulings in the Fifth Circuit Supreme Court about how police use geofencing and different tracking. And so they're going to be talking about some of the misuses, but like they talk about it from a place of knowledge, and they talk a little bit about the PCA, and then we're going to transition right into Twiz's segment.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Fifth Circuit, Google geofence. It'll come up. You can read it yourself. If you go to the last page, one of the judges who was part of this ruling, I think he surmises his thoughts really, really well at the end. And basically he says, hey, law enforcement, we get it. This is going to sting. This is going to hurt. However, we also have seen in the past, when we give you latitude, you abuse it. And we're drawing the line because we don't want that abuse.
And we are not in disagreement with that. We have seen law enforcement severely abuse the rights of citizens often.
I have abused the rights of citizens, not intentionally, but then I reviewed a case and I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Okay, I want to stop there because I think this is just one of those humbling moments. Like, he's not just saying that police abuse it. He's talking about humans and human error, and how the biggest thing that we can do is be self-aware and honest about our work, no matter who we are. If we're a police officer, if we're an FBI officer, if we're a nurse, it doesn't matter. You being honest anyway.
Yeah.
Let's just hear what they have to say. It's not condemning the police. These are both ex-law enforcement.
You say something prior to trial.
And I don't think people realize, I would love everybody who's listening right now, put yourself at work. And whatever your job is, you're midday in your job and you do something dumb and you're like, oh, I should have done that. I know better. Oops, my bad. I don't think people realize cops, prosecutors, defense attorneys, judges, they have the same days. I've had things where I found myself in a situation, I'm like, oh, that was stupid. I shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you own it, you fix it, you explain it. But I think it's also important. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all infallible. I will continue. Carrie points it out daily to me.
I think the main thing is, though, just like it would be for anyone in the workplace, you have to hold yourself accountable to those mistakes, especially when they impact the greater good, if you will. And not only the greater good as it is for law enforcement, but also just citizens in general.
Echoes. If there's a gag order, it means no one can put out actual evidence, right? Well, kind of. No one can put out actual evidence that hasn't been disseminated through the court process. So, for example, a court hearing happens, maybe an image gets put up on the monitor. Everybody in the world can see that image. That image is no longer part of the gag order. Maybe somebody comes in and testifies, and they testify to their opinion, and then they have to explain why they have that opinion. Whatever that is no longer under the gag order. So basically, the gag order controls that evidence is only released to the general public through a court proceeding. It can be a hearing, it can be trial, it can be a motion, but it can't come out by just somebody running their suck on YouTube, for lack of a better term.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense too. I mean, how many things were we like, well, if it comes out in court, then it can be talked about on YouTube. But if it didn't come out, if the information wasn't disseminated like that, then that person is either making it up or they're violating the law. And I think what they're saying is, if somebody comes to YouTube and says they have potential evidence, it should be brought to the police if they say that it hasn't been brought to the police before, because that's exactly what they say. They want to know about evidence or evidence being leaked. It's an interesting subject.
Need a Carrie Beauty tip channel. Thanks for starring that one, Bree. But I think there are other things that we really need to take into consideration now with the advancements of artificial intelligence and where technology is headed.
Yeah, what if there is leaked images or audio? I am the first one to say, if there's a leak, we got to identify it. These things really screw up cases. They screw up jury pools. They cost taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know that people will understand what something as simple as a change of venue, what that costs. It is not cheap. The other problem with this is there's a ripple effect when things are leaked in an investigation like this, and now all of a sudden we have witnesses whose testimony is changed because now they know of an image or an audio that they didn't previously know, and oh, they're wrong. I am all about, this is where you have to hold everybody accountable.
Oh, why is it doing that? I'm going to just...
Experts, defense, prosecution, cops, this is just simply unacceptable. And the idea here is when we leak things like this, we're influencing not so much the jury, not so much the public, we're influencing witnesses. And that's where I really get stuck on that. So, yeah.
Okay, so this is a really interesting point that I had actually never thought of before, Robert. So it's not just about the evidence. So like, let's just say hypothetically, and after there's a few sound bites that are going to, I'm not sure. Let's just say Linda Lane, hypothetically, let's just say that's real. Okay. And that information got leaked and it's real. which I don't think it is at this point from what I've learned in this episode, but let's just say it is not about what was on that tape getting leaked that makes it so bad. One of the worst things Sai is saying is that it can influence witnesses that are in the case. Because then if you see, like, if you have a story about so-and-so coming home at so-and-so, and then you see so-and-so driving around Linda Lane, it could influence the way that you answer that question, is what he's saying. So it's truly not just about the information being leaked, but the way that the ripple effect it has in the entire case. Does that make sense, Robert?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because we all know that if Linda Lane was actually evidence, you would see the judge, Bill Thompson, and Ann Taylor blowing a gasket.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not blowing a gasket, what does that mean? It's not evidence. Personally, I don't think Linda Lane is going to even be in court. It's not going to be used in the trial because they have other cameras that spotted the Elantra, namely, more than likely, the 1112 camera. And if you remember what Ann Taylor stated, they're trying to sync up the audio to other devices. So they've got the car on a different camera other than Linda Lane.
I agree. And then in the PCA, they say that word immediately, and we wonder what they're talking about. It sounds, and then so.
And it takes you back to that statement: suspect video of suspect video.
Mm-hmm.
So, could the suspect video be of the car on a camera that clearly saw the car and not Linda Lane? Because you barely see the car on Linda Lane. You see it, you see it go by in the distance. They could have it. They could have video evidence of the car where you could clearly see the license plate. And you don't see that on Linda Lane. And Linda Lane's been so picked apart and redone and distorted. It's not evidence. It's not going to be in trial.
I mean, I don't think the fact that it's been picked apart even has anything to do with why it wouldn't be in trial. My thought is it's just fake to begin with. Judging by what he's saying, there's just no way it would be allowed outside of court. And so I've heard other people, even ex-law enforcement, come onto this channel and argue to me, well, why would they take it down? Or have you ever heard, or they would take it down if it was important. And it's like, well, it's actually, the fact is it's fake, because it would never be allowed to be up in the first place, not because it being evidence, because it could influence witnesses in this case. And there's over 400 witnesses.
Yeah.
So who knows what type of witnesses they are? It could even be a character witness. It could be the DoorDash driver, but it has to be fake. It wouldn't be allowed out here. Hold on. And then, yeah, I don't know if they have a video of a license plate too. I mean, I just don't understand how, we hear the alibi. It would just seem like if they have a license plate in a car, I don't know how we'd be here in the trial and right now gathering evidence, right? I mean, I agree with you. You keep changing your profile picture.
Foghorn Leghorn.
Well, he had a real picture on the other day. Oh, thank you. All right, let's get the rest of this, and then we're going to start hearing from Robert's live stream. Robert had an amazing live stream. It was actually the last live stream I did on YouTube. It was a few days ago, and it was really good. We went for like 5 hours. We had Twiz, AR, really active live chat.
Heather says suspect video. Yeah, a suspect video. A video of a suspect video seems like it's going to be that lost footage from the gas station. They likely are going to use the clerk's copy that she saved on her phone.
I definitely think that right now, with the information we have, we know that's a video of a video. So reasonable deduction, yeah. But I mean, we have all sorts of other theories too. But that makes sense. We know that that is a video of a video. And Heather made a good video about it. Let me put up Heather's banner really quick. If you want to go to Heather's channel, and she actually has a good video on that subject. If you want the video of a suspect video, amongst a lot of other really popular videos, we're going to be showing one that she features with Ann Taylor tonight in the hearing, actually. Okay, let's go.
I'm all about holding accountable. There is, if you leak something that you have access to, there's always a criminal charge that can be levied there. How high is the bar? Evidence in PCA. Those of you who are not familiar, PCA is a probable cause affidavit. It's the PC statement that accompanies a search warrant. That is the justification of why a judge is signing off on a search warrant. How high is the bar? I'm really excited about that episode.
Thanks, Liz. We appreciate it.
What if things originally used in your probable cause affidavit end up changing and not being valid? Does that make the warrant obtained invalid?
This is really interesting.
Yes. It depends on how much mistakes are made.
Robert,
probable cause affidavit end up changing.
So he's talking about the PCA. I think that you'll find this one really interesting. I heard this at the end. I'm like, I gotta include that.
That is the justification of why a judge is signing off on a search warrant. How high is the bar? I'm really excited about that episode.
Thanks, Liz. We appreciate it.
What if things originally used in your probable cause affidavit end up changing and not being valid? Does that make the warrant obtained invalid? Yes. It depends on how much. Mistakes are made, common mistakes. There's this thing called good faith. I am allowed as a police officer to make legitimate mistakes. No one is perfect, like we've been saying. If it comes to where I am providing information that is completely unsupported and it is a major factor of the finding of that search warrant, there can be a number of different issues. In my career, I've had one search warrant suppressed for this exact same thing that you're talking about here. And I want to explain how easy this is why I bring it up. I was a very, very young officer. I think it was 1997. And I had gotten into a case where I'd figured out like the biggest drug dealer of the local high school in the jurisdiction I was working in. I had it. Like I knew this guy was just dealing drugs left and right. He was slinging all kinds of dope. So I wrote a search warrant for his house. I had great information. There's no doubt the search warrant was going to.
This is what I'm talking about when you listen to them. They're just so real. Like he's giving an account of when he was like a rookie cop and mistakes that he made. And you just don't see a lot of people being so humble when they explain things. And I can see when I hear him talking why this person is an expert witness in over 100 cases now. I mean, pretty obvious. Just wanted to put that out there before he says this story.
To reap the benefits. And it did. We seized a bunch of drugs out of his house. We criminally charged him. In my search warrant, I didn't put his age as being a 16-year-old juvenile. And it didn't even occur to me. I was a stupid young cop who didn't know much about what I was doing. I knew that he was a drug dealer, and I knew I had a ton of information showing he was a drug dealer, but I didn't explain to the judge that the house we were searching was actually his father's house and that he was just a 16-year-old kid. And that warrant got suppressed as a result. And all of the charges got thrown out and all of the drugs, basically, we couldn't use them. We lost everything. As a young cop in 1997, I thought, got it. I will never do that again. So now I'm known for going overboard on my probable cause statements.
Well, and I think for a lot of young officers as well, you may not have leadership who knows what you need to put in a search warrant. Search warrant writing, it's not necessarily an ambiguous thing, but if you also turn it over to a judge who just looks it over and doesn't really care and they don't hold the officer accountable, they just push it through, and they're not giving that officer valuable learning experiences in addition to their command staff not doing that, you just get officers who continually do the same thing over and over again because they think it's okay and they don't realize that they could be doing something better.
This is why I commonly say conspiracies are typically masked with just incompetence. It is amazing. I can remember, we've got this case coming up. I'm not ready to do it because it's a very personal, I don't want to say emotional because that would reveal too much. It's a very personal case to me. It was the first child homicide that I ever worked. And I remember being on the scene and trying to figure out what I had. And I called my sergeant, and he was filling in. He was the property crime sergeant, and this was a violent crime, obviously. And I called him and I asked him a handful of questions. And his response to me was, I don't know, I'm the property crime sergeant, figure it out. And I just remember thinking, okay, so this is where I'm at. My first homicide involving a 3-year-old, well, actually 2. I'm just supposed to figure it out because I don't have that leadership or that mentorship ahead of me. And that's very common.
It's a huge letdown, especially when you have an agency that doesn't have a lot of funding for training, right? You get very minimal training. You get standardized training of what has to be done in order for you to remain a peace officer certification for that year. And I could get really into this, but it is a letdown when you don't have anybody who can give you experience, because they've learned from those experiences and done something wrong, and you're just always having to make your own mistakes as an officer to learn and be better. So,
hello, Ms. Potts.
Hi, Ms. Potts.
Said this many times, judges aren't fact-finding or fact-checking these officers' PCA. They just take their word. Sad but true. It's not the judges, it's the officers. And ultimately, and sometimes this hurts, because I've seen cases where they've got the right guy, they've got the right suspect. Everything is right, but the cops cheated a little bit. They maybe fudged a few things. How do you hold that accountable and at the same time execute justice, right? And you find yourself in the slippery slope where sometimes you have to take a stand, and the PCA is, even in spite of potentially having the right suspect, you've got to reach out and say, hey, we've got to draw a line. This is unacceptable. We have to hold these people accountable. And I want to make something really clear right now. I'm talking from personal experiences of cases I worked as a police officer when I say the things that I just said. I'm not referring to anything I've done since I've left law enforcement.
So let's just make sure that we're doing justice to Socialite Crime Club and repeat what he just said. He is not talking about any cases since he left law enforcement. He is specifically speaking about the cases that he has experience on when he was in law enforcement. So it's important for us to make that point because we're using them, and we know, he's working very hard to abide by a gag order too. So while we're applying these things in our own way, I just want to make sure that's not how I want to make sure I'm presenting to my audience. They were not talking about the case that we're covering. But with that said, let's just keep playing, because now we're going to get into Robert's live stream, a little bit from AR.
I've been involved with that where it hurts because you know you got the right guy or the right girl. You know that you're justified in seeking that prosecution, but somebody did something wrong, and you at the same time you have to hold those people accountable. So
I don't know. It'll be interesting what the judge does.
How do you feel about Bryan Kohberger's demeanor while he was there? Do you feel as though he still feels confident in what's happening? Does he showcase confidence, or does he start to get a little frustrated?
That's hard to tell because all I see is the back of his head, and I typically don't really watch him that much. But it seemed like he was looking towards Anne and Massoff a lot more than I've noticed before. I think that you guys couldn't see it because I think it was right before lunch or something. They were talking about going into the chambers for something.
I'm just going to stop it for a second because it's skipping around really quickly, and I just want to let it buffer for a second because I don't know what else to do. While I'm doing that, Robert, and we get into this, so we're kind of talking about the boots on the ground stuff, and Twiz is talking about right now Bryan's demeanor in court.
Yeah.
A couple things from AR. I just wanted to pause right there for a second and check in with you in the chat and see if you had anything you wanted to add to the conversation.
No, just it just seems, it seems kind of weird, with that what I showed you earlier. You have the 911 call log from the day of the unalivings, and then 30 minutes before that, you have a suspicious drug call at 11:13 a.m. Then at 11:30 at the same address, you have a drug canine search, and it was the street was E.D. Street and Main Street there in Moscow. And then at 11:56, you have the 911 call for a complaint of an unconscious person. Police and EMS was dispatched to 1122 King Road.
Yeah, that blows me away that that they didn't have a forensic unit sent out right with them when that dispatch came. For whatever reason it was, budgeting reasons, training reasons, who knows? But it is too bad that the standard unconscious person call was what was made that morning. Especially
Yeah,
seeing
what was weird was it's on the actual 911 call log. It's a complaint of a unconscious person. Police and EMS have been dispatched to scene. Report taken.
Do you want to present that? I mean, we can show it.
I send it to your Discord.
Oh, okay. No, I have it in Discord. I just didn't know if you had it right there. But yeah, let me bring that up so you can talk about that for a bit to the folks. All right. So which one did you want me to bring up the police reports first?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Which one did you? I have two in here. Controlled substance.
Problems. That's 11:13 a.m. And then the other one is the the narcotic canine search at 11:33.
Okay, got that.
And then you have the call to the King Road residence at 11:56.
Robert, that one's gone. It's not in my Discord anymore.
Hold
The
on.
11:56 one.
Let's see if I sent it to you. Hold on. I sent it to Christy, so I will.
Oh wait, I got it.
Okay.
Sorry, I mean to scream that, you guys.
I'm used to it. I've been married for almost a decade.
Thank you for your understanding. Robert, hold on. They can see all our messages, I think.
Yeah, click the browser, open in browser.
Okay, hold on. I get my
Down
stuff.
at the bottom of the thing, it says open in browser.
Yeah. All right, open in browser. There we go. Alrighty. I know we're going to hear that noise. All right, folks, here we go. And Robert, continue.
Okay, that is the. Let me take a look at it because it's kind of far away.
Let me zoom in.
Okay, that is the 911 call log for the King Road house. Complaint of unconscious person. Officers and EMS responded. Coroner and detectives are notified. Report taken. Time reported 11:56. Oh, and I reread some parts in the PCA today.
Yeah.
There is one thing that I do not understand. We have Olivia Gonzalez stating that the girls got home at 1:56. it states the private driver picked them up from the grub truck at 1:56. So how could they get home at 1:56 if they were being picked up from downtown Moscow at 1:56?
Who said they were being picked up at 1:56 at the grub truck? Is that the timestamp? Is that what we're referencing?
Yeah, because if you remember, Olivia said that they were dropped off at the King Road residence at 1:56. The private driver stated that they were picked up from the grub truck at 1:56 from downtown Moscow.
Do we even know though? I mean, do we? Okay. All right. Well, I mean, do you have those documents right here? I mean, I can pull up the PCA. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't prepared to talk on it, but I would look at the PCA. Does it say what their approximate time, or does they say that they arrived at 1:56 at the house?
Yeah, they were picked up at 1:56 from the grub truck.
And the private driver said that who did he tell that to?
He told that to the ISP investigators that he had picked them up at 1:56 from the grub truck. But we have Olivia telling us that they were dropped off at 1:56. So how were they dropped off at 1:56? Yeah, right there.
Approximate is that? Hold on. Does anyone else have any comments on that? So it says approximate. I'm wondering, did they when they released the private driver's statement about 1:56? Was that in one of the pressers? Is that where we know it from, or is this a statement that he?
It's a statement that he made to the investigators that he picked them up from the grub truck at 1:56. So how can they be walking in the door of the house at 1:56 like Olivia says if they're getting picked up at 1:56?
Yeah, well, this is what no, and I'm not processing this, and maybe you guys can help me and Jen brought this up too. It says the PCA says something like private driver provided ride home at 1:56, not exact words, right? And I'm like, obviously we're just going by memory right now. So they're giving approximate times. This is where I'm missing my information. I know it says approximately in the PCA, but who? And I know the private driver, from what you said, told investigators 1:56, and Vivian confirms that. But where did we read that? Where did we read that the private driver told the investigators? Which news source?
Where the 1:56 comes in from is from Olivia Gonzalez stating that they got home at 1:56. Yeah, because she quote unquote saw the light bulb camera footage. How can they get home at 1:56 if they're being picked up at 1:56?
Hold on. What did she say? And then JB says, we might be splitting hairs, though, because I think it was a 2 to 3 minute drive, right? That's a good point, too. You know what? I think it's a legitimate point. I'll look into the wording of that. I'm going to write myself a note, Robert. And I think that you brought something up I would like to know. What were those approximate times? I mean, because we sit here and we hash out that timeline over and over again. So, and that hour of the night, it's just so much really eerie activity going on. So yeah, I'm going to write that down. And I really do. I would like to know, what is the distance from the grub truck and who made those official statements? And then Viviana says approximately is the key. Nothing is set in stone. But yeah, and thank you for bringing it up. It's a really good point.
Okay, now we've heard, right? We've heard from Kathy Mabbitt that the unalivings took place and they were all in their beds. Well, if you read further into the PCA, it gives a different vantage point of what actually happened, and it also tells you the different injury patterns that the victims had. Kaylee and Maddie clearly visible stab wounds. Xana, an edged weapon. With Ethan, sharp force injuries. And Brett Payne clearly states when he walked into Xana and Ethan's bedroom, Xana was on the floor and Ethan was on the bed. So that kind of contradicts what we've heard from Kathy and Mabbitt, that they were all in their beds. The investigators actually kind of debunked Kathy Mabbitt because Payne stated that Xana was on the floor in her bedroom and Ethan was in the bed.
Yeah.
And they all had. We remember when Kathy Mabbitt said they all had stab wounds. They were all stabbed. And we all remember that. According to the reporting officers, Xana was cut by an edged weapon. Ethan, sharp force injuries. Maddie and Kaylee, stab wounds. So it was 4 different manners of death that day.
Okay.
So why are we being told by a coroner that they were all stabbed when the injury patterns were different?
I mean, I don't want to, like, honestly, we've done, okay, so I'll give my honest take on this since we're getting into the subject of the stab wounds. And trigger warning, let me just put a trigger warning up because, like I said, I was just talking about, we were going to get into boots on the ground and talk about the hearing.
We can do boots on the ground. That was just something that's been brewing in my mind the last.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's really intense questions. Let me put a trigger warning up. Actually, we'll do this one. So, I mean, I will say a few things, opinions on. I'll give you a couple opinions on what you just said, just because we brought it up and we've got like over 100 people watching. So I definitely want to give my opinions on that. So I was having an interesting conversation with one of my mods a couple days ago regarding body language because Kathy Mabbitt displayed some unusual things. And talking to someone who has like a little bit of experience in this, one of my mods, Too Fast, was telling me she looks a little bit nervous. Like I mean, think about all the hats she wears, and she's probably getting instructions on how to appear on TV and things like that. But I specifically want to talk about the wounds that you talked about because with a K-bar, and I don't know. I mean, like AR says, there could be a second weapon, and people in the chat were talking about there could be other devices used. Somebody mentioned a stun gun, for instance, but when it comes to the K-bar knife, again, trigger warning, there are several different injuries that particular knife can make, specifically if it has serration on one side, because it can be sold with or without serration. And it can explain a lot of the wounds. And like Jeff H says, unfortunately, it's just such a deadly weapon. You can use the other end of it as well. So yeah, I don't know why they describe those, but I don't think we're supposed to know right now because if there was a second weapon involved, they're not talking about it. But I mean, I do think that, I don't think she displayed anything like dishonest from the way that my observations of her. I've looked at a lot of those videos. And then as far as like Ethan and Xana, what was the contradiction? I didn't quite catch that. You said that somebody stated they were in the bed together and then somebody else stated that one was on the floor and one was in the bed.
Yes. Kathy Mabbitt came out and said that all 4 of them were killed in their beds. But when you had OFC Smith come into the scene, along with Brett Payne, they found Xana on the floor in her bedroom. Ethan on the bed. and then you had Kaylee and Maddie upstairs. And the only reason why they knew Murphy was in Kaylee's bedroom, Brett Payne went back and reviewed the body cam of OFC Smith, and he saw on the body cam Murphy in the room with the door shut.
Yeah, I'm gonna start this one. So Heather also says she's talking about Kathy and Matt, but she hesitated heavily before she answered that, and that's true. She crossed her arms, and that could be, like, as if, you know, like as Too Fast was saying, that could be also that she's protecting information, like crossing her arms like that. But did she say that they were both in their beds, or did she say they were all sleeping? Because that's what I thought she said.
They were all stabbed in their beds.
She said that. Okay.
Yes.
I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy that you would think the coroner walked the scene and would know where the bodies were located. How did she misspeak that if that's the case? I thought she said they were all sleeping, but I believe, you know, what you said. And then Jen sent me some stuff in Discord. It probably further clarifies that. Hold on. Let's see. When I saw the news Monday, it occurred to me. Hold on. I'm just seeing if she sent me anything on the corner. No, this is on the private driver. But yeah, I don't know what to say, Robert. I have a lot of the same questions too. About Kathy.
Yeah, it's just this case makes me want to pull my hair out. What hair I have left.
Right. And then I'm just seeing we had a couple comments about the private driver. Okay, hold on. So saying it's 152 is actually 153 on the timestamp. So I think we're referring to on the grub truck when the girls exited.
Yeah.
Right? Does that sound about right on that timestamp?
Well, possibly, yeah.
All right, and then if we're back on the private driver, Jen sent me some clippings. I'm just going to read the highlighted part, and this is from lawandcrime.com. It says, after learning the names of the student victims, the driver said he went to Moscow police and provided a receipt showing he purchased fast food after dropping Gonzalez and Mogan off, and told investigators about driving them home. For some time afterwards, he felt guilty because he had given Mogan and Gonzalez home that night. I think they're missing the word ride, at 1:56, only to learn days later that they had been killed. That is such a weird quote, isn't it? How do you learn days later? The whole world knew their names within 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
That is weird. And then the next one said, when I saw the news Monday, it occurred to me I was in the neighborhood, but it was before they'd been released the names. As soon as I knew for sure that it was the girls, I went to the police. Okay, so maybe the names weren't released, and I stand corrected. That is a really interesting clip, Jen. And Olivia says she spoke with him. He says, and Olivia says he spoke with him, but he never mentions that. That's so weird. Oh, here we go. Hold on, let me go to the beginning of her comments. Why did he, excuse me, what? Sorry about that. Why did he go so hard looking for WEA? Stop after finding Bryan's. Okay, that's not where it started. Olivia says she told cops about him Sunday the 13th. That private driver interview was obviously Mr. Snyder, a man that inserted himself as a relative working for Moscow PD. And Olivia said she spoke with him, but he never mentions that. Well,
Do you know there's pictures of Olivia, a very pregnant Olivia, at the crime scene?
I mean, okay.
Walking around with, I can't remember who she was walking around with. I think it was either Bill Thompson or one of the other officers, walking around with them, touring the scene.
Yeah, but I mean, okay. What are your thoughts on that, Robert? Because I mean,
It's
if it
just
was my sister,
all weird. Yeah, I mean, I can understand it being her sister and everything, but it felt like that she was trying to butt her nose into a police investigation. Because why would you tour the crime scene with the investigators?
I don't know, Robert, but I'm not going to question Olivia like
Yeah.
that. I mean, honestly,
And
I don't
I'm
know
not
the
either.
relevance in bringing her. And the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just like.
Yeah, Viviana, who was it then? She said that wasn't Olivia, but I saw
But
a
even if
picture
it
of Olivia.
was, even if it was, like, I don't know.
Oh, check the back chat.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that. That's not Olivia. That was not Olivia. That was.
Too fast said it was AJ.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't know what to say, Robert. But did you want to bring up anything else before I put the video back on?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Here we go.
And then when everybody came back out, Massoff was talking with Bryan, which was really funny because she's really short and he's tall. And I really wish I could have taken a picture of it. But then right after that, Anne was talking with Bryan and she had like a huge smile on her face. So that part was really interesting to watch in court. But I mean, to me, it seems like he just sits there very quietly most of the time and just looks forward.
Not narcissistic. Not narcissistic. Then.
I don't understand how anybody ever comes to that conclusion because, like, I'm assuming that Anne, instructed him to sit there and be quiet, and that's what he does. And somehow people take that to being bad when all he's doing is listening to his attorney.
I think it's his nature. I think he's a quiet individual on the most part.
I would assume so too.
I just, compared to the people that we see in the courtroom, like Wade Wilson or, the Robert Tellez guy, these people are, those are narcissists. And I don't put Bryan Kohberger in that. I just feel like he's quiet and confident. I just wondered if his shoulders were starting to slump. Like, he's been in jail a long time. And
no, I would say his shoulders are the same.
Good.
I mean, I've never talked to him, but I assume that him and my personalities are actually pretty similar. Because, like, I'm a quiet, like, people won't say that on YouTube. Like, I'm a pretty quiet person in general.
I'm kind of with you. That's funny.
We all know that he more than likely didn't do it. Why did they have a grand jury?
I don't know. That'll be extremely interesting too when we find out what happened in the case. Because I mean, they had the preliminary hearing scheduled. They both agreed to it, and then it turns out that they'd been planning for a grand jury at least a month beforehand.
And it's just so weird that the PCA, the Moscow PCA was so edited and redacted, but the Pennsylvania PCA wasn't. A box of cookies. I guess they really wanted their Oreos.
Twiz, could I ask you a couple quick questions, please?
No.
Please.
Okay.
All right. So I have a question. So when you go into the courthouse, can people pick which side of the courthouse they sit on?
Yeah, there's like rows that are marked off for like certain things, but other than that, it's kind of just like a free for all.
Okay. And then the other thing a couple other things I was wondering, did you see a lot of students there or like college age kids that looked like they were attending?
You saw the
No.
Gonzaleses.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any like college kids that go.
I mean, I just was thinking along the lines of like, maybe they had friends who were attending. I was just curious if you had seen students in there. The other question I have is there was an awfully long break in between the two different halves of the hearing. Did you go to lunch or go out to coffee or go to a restaurant during that time?
Yeah, we went to Kohberger.
Did you hear conversation about the case while you were there from locals?
No, we were outside,
Okay.
so there wasn't even really anybody near us. But I
And
doubt
Tiana
many
was
people
there.
talk about it, to be honest.
Okay. So that kind of answers my next question, which was since the hearing and leading up to the hearing, did you hear people making comments about it?
No, I've never really heard anybody talk about, but I don't really go out either. And I certainly don't spend a lot of time in Moscow.
Yeah.
So
Did BK turned or try to look behind him in the courtroom at all during that hearing? Our last long hearing while he was in the courtroom so long?
I think he looked
This is
out
important.
in the crowd when he first came in. Because normally he just looks straight down, but it seemed like he looked around this time a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was pretty full this time compared to every other hearing I've been to.
Thank you for answering that. The other thing I was wondering is how much of BK's support system was at that hearing? Because I think we paused this here. So I wanted to bring up another point, and I'm glad Too Fast is in the chat too, because there were 2 points about body language they wanted to bring up. And the first one you brought up, Robert, when you started talking about Kathy Mavick, because I had this conversation. But another thing that I've seen people talk about in the chat and in the comments section is BK's body language when it comes to his defense attorney, Ann Taylor. So Robert, you know how we are always seeing BK look up at Ann Taylor when she talks?
Yeah.
So if you were to just guess from a standpoint, what would you think that body language means?
I do not know. Maybe he feels secure around her.
That's actually a really good answer. I mean, when I saw it, I'm never sure. Now, obviously, I've been doing YouTube for a long time. I've done other things in media for a long time, and I'm always expecting people to have like a facade or be playing a character or have training behind the camera. So for me, I'm always think people are doing things for show. But one of the things about the way that BK looks up at his lawyer is it could mean that he's interested in what she's saying. And this is very common body language. And I've actually heard it from 2 different people who have experience in body language now. And I'm going to show you guys an example of what I'm talking about. And I'm going to bring up Heather Fitzgerald's channel. Let me put up the banner before I do. And the video that I'm showing you is called Firmly. No, it's called Kohberger's attorney says he's innocent.
I will end by saying
Thumbnail
this.
says Firmly.
Our defense team firmly, and I mean firmly, believes in Mr. Kohberger's innocence.
So, oops, let me go back. So if you go back to this, by the way, so you can see right there. Let me try and zoom in a little. Oh, it's not going to let me. But that's what I'm talking about for the body language. Like when he sits there and sits there. Now, this is a pretty important statement. So, like,
I mean firmly believes in Mr. Kohberger's innocence.
all right, so there's that. And let's bring the rest of Twiz's interview up. And then we have one more thing to do with the search warrant that Robert and I are going to talk about, and then we're going to call it a night.
Okay. And check your back chat.
Oh, okay. Well, let me check that before I start the video. What? Hey, I haven't been reading the chat, but please be respectful to each other. I'll check it out in a second. But like I said, please be respectful to each other. We all want, this is a big hearing. We knew it was going to take all day. There was a lot of time building up to it. The date was announced ahead of time. So it would be a good opportunity to see, you know, the support system. Did he have a support system there in court that day? Of people in
If
the
you're
audience,
meaning like family or something, I don't
family or
think
friends?
so.
No.
But from what I've heard, when the family does go, they sit in the other room and watch. They watch it on camera or whatever.
Okay. That would
So they
make
might have been there. I wouldn't know.
sense.
Too fast. Just so. Where were the Gonzaleses sitting, Twiz? Behind the prosecution?
Yeah. They're over behind the prosecution somewhere.
Were they the only parents there, or were like the Milgans or the Chapins or the?
I have no idea. I wouldn't really be able to pick them out if someone else was there.
Is there have a capacity? I totally agree with Red Riding Hood on this statement. She says, I think the cameras are set so far away on purpose, so it makes it hard to try and read body language, facial features, etc. I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think that when we start seeing the trial, it's going to be super frustrating, especially when we get those expert witnesses talking. We're not going to be able to see exactly the little nuances that we're used to seeing. What about, like, I mean, I guess one thing I'm not clear on is, like, we talked about the jury and, like, the jury remaining anonymous. And I don't know if you actually know the answer to this question, but is there a way that people can enter the courthouse anonymously? Because I know they talk about how in Ada County people can go, you know, below the jail. They have like a tunnel or something to get there. But would there be a way to maintain anonymity from somebody entering the courthouse?
I mean, there are like side entrances and stuff, which there would be less chance of people finding them there. But then you have people like me that know where they were, so they could just stand outside and wait. There is like a roll-up garage door. Maybe they could use. I don't know. I don't know what's behind it. But I mean, you can see where the jurors sit from inside the courthouse. So I don't know how anonymous you could be in Moscow.
Yeah, you're allowed. Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, especially when the trial starts, it's going to be a media circus out front, and I don't think that they want the jurors to get their pictures taken by media as they're leaving, or getting caught on camera by the media as they're leaving.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to get caught on camera walking in.
Twiz, when we were first like hearing the rules of the courtroom, it sounded like the judge was going to allow cell phones and laptops in there, but you weren't allowed to use them. I guess it's like a two-part question. Well, number one, are you allowed to bring your laptop in, and are you allowed to use it? And two, are you allowed to bring your cell phone?
You're allowed to use your laptop. You just can't live tweet or send email. I think you can't send emails. Like you can, like a lot of people are in there taking notes the entire time. So I mean, you can. I don't know if they'll let you take notes on your phone, though. They might frown upon that one.
If somebody,
I don't know.
Yeah.
It was actually really interesting this time because one of the moms has brought a bag in with her, and apparently it's against the rules, but they wouldn't let them bring like purses in this time. But the last few hearings, I know for a fact that they've let people bring back like purses in there because one of the moms had brought her bag in, and they weren't allowing it this time. So I was asking one of the sheriffs if it was because of the survey, and they were being all serious and not talking. But they're like, no, it's part of the rules. I'm like, okay, well, I understand that, but like people have brought bags in before, so like why is it being so strictly enforced now? And they wouldn't answer.
We got a question for you, Twiz. At Twizzlestick, get some spy glasses and give us a first-hand POV.
Yeah, I don't know if you could do that.
Don't push it. We don't want to lose our one contact, Robert.
What?
Okay,
Hey, we've been live for almost 5 hours.
so that's the end of the video. And the one thing I would say is, Robert, that was such a great live stream the other night. So thank you for hosting that. And we had a really great panel. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, we did have a really good panel that night. And Twiz was the added surprise at the end.
Yeah, that was so cool that we got to have like some actual firsthand. And what I'm doing right now is I'm pulling up Discord because we did have one last subject we wanted to bring up too, which we kind of thought was current events. So the first thing I'm going to open is I'm bringing up Discord, and Robert had brought up a document for this live stream that I wanted to bring up to you guys. Let me pull this up and have Robert talk about this a little bit. And then I'm going to just tie it in with some current events. But what are we looking at here, Robert?
We are looking at the unredacted search warrant from BK's apartment.
All right, let me zoom out a little bit so everyone can see some of these things.
Now, I did send you a better copy. That's not writing. That's actually a typed out copy of it.
Okay, I've got that one. Here we are. All right, so we've got technically 15 items on here. And so I'll just read them to you. So we have one nitrate type black glove, one Walmart receipt with one Dickies tag, two Marshalls receipts, dust container from a Bissell Power Force vacuum, 8 possible hair strands, one Fire Stick TV stick with cord and plug, one possible animal hair strand, one possible hair, one possible hair, one possible hair, one possible hair strand, one computer tower, one collection of dark red spots collected without testing, two cuttings from an uncased pillow with reddish brown stain, larger stain tested, two top and bottom of mattress cover packaging separately, both labeled C, multiple stains, one tested. Before I go into anything, Robert, this is a really good document for us to have. First off, thank you for bringing it to present to the audience.
You're welcome.
Is there anything you wanted to talk about on this while we have this up?
Well, I don't know if you remember my my mod Roddy, or he goes by Rodney. He sent me a link today,
Mm-hmm.
and also Nancy Drew put a link in Reddit for Reddit as well, and I want to thank her as well. Roddy sent me a link to this. Nancy Drew sent a link to Reddit, and that's where I got the unredacted. I got a lot of unredacted stuff from. But I want to say thank you to both of them, because they helped me get this stuff today. Roddy and Roddy sent me about 3 years worth of Moscow police call logs from 2022 to 2024. So I've been combing through those half the day. That's where I came up with the 911 call log for 1122 King, and then the other two drug stops at the house, at a different house. So. But
Well,
it shows exactly what they took out of his house.
So recently, let me take that comment down. So at the hearing, we didn't have like a whole ton of new information.
Rollo, if you don't stop disrespecting me.
Yeah, Rollo, be respectful of the guests on panel. Wait, hold on. Let me release. I'm just trying to erase this. Oh. Okay. Well, anyway. Robert, I appreciate you on tonight. Please be respectful of my guests, because I'm so grateful that Robert takes the time to do these long live streams with me, and I appreciate it. With that said, I thought, back to the hearing, we didn't hear barely, anything really new. I mean, we had a lot of information put into charts for us so that we could get a visual of what exactly we were looking at, but we didn't hear a lot of new things. But we did hear one thing that's new. And I have to give credit. I definitely got the idea to bring this up. Not only did Robert bring this document to me, but I also saw a video from Jules of All Trades, and she brought up the only new thing she heard in the hearing was them saying that Bryan loved and trained a dog. And it was interesting. It seemed out of place. It didn't necessarily seem like it fit into the court proceedings. But what Jules kind of pointed out is that they used the word trained. They didn't just say the dog he loved or had in his life or the dog he spent time with. He said he trained the dog. So it sounds like this was not a passing relationship. It wasn't like a dog he pet like at his neighbor's house. It sounds like a dog he has a relationship with. But what's interesting is, why would they be bringing up on a hearing about media and if the change of venue needs to happen and what's going on with media and bias? One of the things that she was bringing up is, well, they made such a big deal about the one possible dog hair. And all of us, none of us know, because it was post gag order, if that hair was tested, if there was a connection. Now we know that Ann Taylor said there was no connection. But could this be like her opportunity to bring it up in court for other reasons and have that pushed out into the media, that it could be showing, okay, well, explains why there was a dog hair found in the house. So anyway, what are your thoughts on that, Robert? Why Anne might have brought that up in court? Or
Well, maybe he was dog sitting for somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the training, you would think we'd know if BK was involved in dog training, but it just goes to show we know really nothing about him.
Well, I mean, he did save that person's life in Pennsylvania, I believe it was. That was, I think it was choking or something. Okay, Twizzlestick says no because Pullman doesn't allow dogs.
There's no dogs allowed in Pullman? Wow. Well,
I would hate to live there. I would have to give up my chihuahuas.
and Red Riding Hood says she could have mentioned it to show his humanity and patience. Because anyone who has a dog knows that it is hard. You have to teach something. You have to teach a creature something, and you can't talk to them. Thank you for the membership gift too fast too. I didn't say that. And you were talking about Nancy Drew. She's one of your subs, just so they know who you're talking about.
Oh, she's just someone she's someone in Discord. Seems really nice.
Oh, oops. Hold on. Where is the comment I just saw? Okay, right here. Michael says, I can see Bryan liking dogs, even pet sitting. I can see it too, because just like Twiz was saying and AR was saying, doesn't it seem like he has a really laid back personality?
Yeah.
And AR was talking about his patience. Like, one thing we didn't play, if we had more time, I would get to it. But in the live stream, AR pointed out, like, with some of the like body language that you've seen with the judge, like for instance, when he's smiling or laughing, from the defendant's perspective, that can be really frustrating. And AR basically said, well, I might have even had an outburst in court if somebody had acted like that in front of me.
Yeah, giggle to make jokes in the court.
Exactly. And so it is interesting to hear that from somebody who sat in that chair, and here the BK kind of has some remarkable patience and appears to be pretty stoic under the circumstances. So we have a couple new comments. Not in his apartment. So he didn't have, I think you mean he didn't have a dog in his apartment. Good night, Rolo. What? No dogs? That's crazy. I know. I've heard of like certain breeds of dogs being banned. Like you can't have a pit bull if you live in Miami-Dade County in Florida, but you can have one like in all the other counties. But I've never heard just dogs being banned. Have you ever heard of that, Robert?
Well, where I live at, in certain mobile home parks here where I live at, pit bulls are banned. You can have any other breed of dog, but if you have a pit bull, it's banned. Well, like out in where my mom lives at in El Dorado, Kansas, pit bulls are banned within the city limits.
Yeah. Oh. That's interesting. Never heard that before. About the dogs being banned in Pullman. And then it says train, like canine volunteers do maybe. And that's actually a really good guess. Think about that. Use the word training deliberately. We know he's training to be a forensic psychologist. Could he be working with a canine unit? I mean, it's such a plausible theory. Good comment, Lolo. You're getting a star. I'm just going down to see if they're in. Training a dog takes patience, calm, a relationship of trust. Absolutely. Okay, so we're reporting fake news, Robert. They do a lot of dogs.
No, we're reporting Twizzle news.
Sorry.
We love our Twizzle stick.
Yeah, we're okay with it. Hey, Bubs, nice to see you. Bubs, I have an idea for a video with you. You should get at me. A talk. Yeah, right. Oh, I actually have a video. Do you guys want to hear that? I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up tonight. This is what I wanted to. Okay, so I'll just tell you, Bubs, what I'm talking about. So Bubs is here. I was on her channel the other day, and I left her a couple comments. Bubbly, I don't know if you got them, but I was looking for information on the pool party. Okay, and I just thought maybe Bubbly would have something because you do so much dogged research about the social interactions and everything. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I've been thinking about doing another segment, kind of just really focusing on what we know about BK and evidence that he wasn't an incel. And it's interesting you bring that up because then JP underneath says, thinking back to the ITV News video, Kiki, if he was seeing an Asian woman, maybe it's possible she had a dog. Well, Mikey, who hopefully is still watching, I don't know if he's still here, but he sent me a clip, an archived clip. Now, we haven't seen this. I don't think there's any more news clips of this I'm sorry, I'm not talking very well tonight. The news clip he sent me was from UK media. So like, I think as far as I know, I haven't been able to find this actual clip. I think it might be scrubbed from the US news, but anyway, he had a clip of it in the UK news. And since we're talking about it, I'll bring it up. And Bubs, if you have anything on the pool party, I'd really like to present that too. And on top of it, I have a couple of other things I can show you guys too. Like for instance, Mikey sent me a screenshot of the other people that were in his PhD program at WASU, and they're all female. And I have the entire roster, and I blanked out all of their names, but I'll show that to you guys too. It's just going and saying, you cannot, this awful mainstream media theory that was just so random being put out there of him being an incel is just so far from the truth. And it's, again, just a made up thing so you can vilify someone or make someone into a monster. It just makes it easier. Anyway, I should stop talking and just show you guys the clip. Bear with me a second. I'll pull it up. Robert, do you know what incel is? And have you heard people posing this theory about BK being an incel?
I mean, I know what an incel is, but I haven't heard. The only people I've heard do that theory is lamestream media, like Nancy Disgrace and Ashley Banfield. But incel is basically it's guys who are so intimidated by women that they're afraid to approach them or ask them out for dates, and they also get jealous that a woman doesn't look at them as dating material, or boyfriend material, or husband material. Yeah, I mean, look at Elliot Rogers. He was like one of the biggest incels ever, and there's been quite a few people, like quite a few school shooters who have idolized Elliot Rogers.
I know. I appreciate you breaking that down because a lot of people have never heard that. God, I never heard the word incel before until I covered this case. Let me share my screen with you guys and show you what I've got. And again, let's please, if you see Mikey in the chat, please make sure to thank him for finding this really kind of rare news clip.
Before all that, a special report on the brutal murders of 4 students at the University of Idaho. And this is a really shocking case that is gripping the United States. Haley Gonsalves.
Bryan Kohberger.
Okay, we're going to go to right here.
Police initially hunted for a white Hyundai, spotted fleeing the murder scene at high speed. They finally found an identical car here, belonging to postgraduate student Bryan Kohberger.
I spoke to one of Kohberger's neighbours here at his university accommodation in Pullman. He didn't want to go on camera, but said he frequently saw Kohberger in the company of an Asian girl, often laughing and joking. On the night of the murder, he saw him right out here, acting normally.
Analysis of
I'm going to stop right there. It is an interesting clip. They do go on a little bit further on to talk about how the Elantra tip came in, and I'll use that at a later time. A couple of just things about how he described that girl.
I like the way he pronounced the car. Hyundai.
Yes, very proper. I think what was interesting about what he just said when he talks about her is he said, the neighbors say he was often seen with an Asian girl. They don't, they say he was seen that night. He looked normal. He was seen with her. But seeing that he was often seen with her, it really takes away that social awkwardness that was pushed on us, this inference of an incel type personality. I mean, right there, somebody who's involuntary celibate wouldn't be able to have a casual conversation, friendly relationship like that. So it really debunks that narrative.
Yeah.
A couple more. We have some new comments on that. Tell them you're just kidding. Yeah, thank you for clearing up. They do allow dogs in Pullman. No dogs in Pullman is weird. I had a dog when I lived in Pullman. So many people hunt there. Right. So hunting dogs. Right. Service dogs. Yeah. Okay. We're all getting debunked tonight. If you can tell your lawyer you're guilty, they are supposed to not be your lawyer anymore. Oh, that's so cute.
Aww.
Robert's got a new puppy. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen it tonight. Kyle. False facts must be not Twiz.
Let me go find it real quick.
Yeah, find your puppy. And you know what? While you're doing that, I'm going to bring up the picture of BK's PhD student roster. I don't think I said that right. Oh gosh, I have to delete a photo before I can do that. Oh my god. Hold on. I'll delete this one. Okay. So I'm going to bring this picture up, you guys. Now, let me take Bub's comment down.
Hold on.
So I'm going to show you guys this photo. So all of these people, and of course I took their names out because I'm not trying to dox anyone or make them a target for people looking into their information. But as you can see, these are the people he closely worked with in the PhD program, in the same office, in the same classroom, in the same study halls, in the same study groups. And even this person who has the Coug as their profile pic, and they had a name that is not American. I actually looked her up, and her name means beautiful in Korean, and she is a female as well. So, oh, you left me a message. Oh, you have the puppy. Hold on, I wasn't looking. Hold on, I'm coming back. I can't see the screen, Robert. Hold on. Hold on. Where's the puppy? Hi. Oh, he's all grown up.
Well, he's not grown up yet. He'll be 6 weeks next week.
I can't see his face. You have to hold him up a little more. Yeah, he definitely looks a little bit older. He's grown a lot in the last 2 days. Where's the other Chihuahua?
Oh, she's mad and under the bed.
Oh.
Yeah.
You gotta give her a camera
She
time.
don't like this cute little face.
He seems like he's a lot more alert now. He's not interested on being on camera. Yeah, get that camera out of my face. And then Viviana says his office mate was the Asian female. Her name was listed in the Washington search warrant docs. I mean, it does it say decisively it was her though, or are we just assuming because they're both an Asian woman spotted in front of the house and an Asian woman in his class with the same Asian woman? I don't know. Does someone like positively identify?
P. Fox says he has a little mask. I love it. Yeah.
Let's see him again. Twinning. What do you? Hi. Wait, you have to hold him up a little bit, Robert. It's like over the podcast. There you go. Up a little bit more. No, up.
So I'm going up.
I like his socks.
Yeah. His name is Yoda. My daughter called him Grogu today. I'm like, that's not his name. It's Yoda.
Wait, hold on. Oh, that's really cool. All right. Well, Too Fast has already recruited himself for our next segment in our next live stream. So we'll dive into that. Maybe we can go because Viviana had a little. Where's her comment? Viviana had some information. Maybe both of you could get me some. I can't find her comment now. All right.
That is again.
Huh? What?
He just posted his comment on the screen. He was talking to Misha Girl.
Whoa, what's going on? Is somebody being disrespectful to Bubs? Hey, you guys, make sure you're giving Bubbly Waters a lot of love. We love it when she stops by our live stream, and we really respect her work. Oh, wait, hold on one second, you guys. I will be right back. Well, all right, so first thing and foremost, I'm going to take this down. We are going up on the 2-hour mark. Robert and I were only going to stream for 2 hours tonight. The first thing I'm going to say is I'm sorry if it appears there's some arguments going on in the chat. I'm sorry if anybody feels they were disrespected. we'll address that afterwards right now. But we do appreciate you coming out. We appreciate the live chat. Robert is going to be stepping back from the IDAHO4 case. So this is going to be our last live stream for a little while, unless he changes his mind. And if he does, you're welcome right back on live stream with me, Robert.
I would like to talk to you behind the scenes.
Okay. So with that said, thank you so much for coming out tonight. And I hope you guys have a great night. And justice for the IDAHO4.
Peace out, guys.
I am going to play a little outro, and while we do that.
Don't worry, Twiz. I'm not going to turn into 12.
What? Why would it? What does that mean?
Yeah, Twiz, because we'll call him 12 Robert if he does.
What? Wait, what? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. Are you guys?
Yeah.
All right. All right. So again, thank you so much for showing up tonight. We're going to do a little tribute video. I just want to play this for you. This is just something I posted on my channel, and I think it might be nice to end with this because it just brings us back, and especially for Robert being the last live stream he's doing on the IDAHO4 for a little while. This kind of grounds us and brings us back to why we're doing this. So let me pull this
do you want to see my other baby before we go? He's getting big.
Your snake?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, 12 is well, that's what I'm saying is. Oh. I do. I like bubble. Oh. Wow, that snake, it looks like it's a different color than the last time you had it.
The what?
That snake looks like a different color. It looks like a different snake.
Same one.
Did he change?
Yeah, he shed about a week ago.
Does he like get darker when he sheds? Does he get darker when he sheds?
Yeah.
I thought he was yellow. Is it the audience?
It's the lighting, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, his head's gotten bigger around. He just ate a rat yesterday. Or no, actually about 3 days ago. He's being shy right now. He is a pastel Mojave ball python. He is 11 months old. Yeah, I see you flicking your tongue at me.
What does that mean?
It means I interrupted his nap.
So we all just want to say, Robert, please keep the new puppy away from the snake. Since your new puppy is about the size of a rat, I am really
Went
worried.
right back in his rock.
I'm just concerned about
The what?
the size and proportion of your new dog and your snake.
Oh, he's kept in his tank. I only bring him out like every 2 to 3 days, and I make sure the puppy is nowhere near him when I bring him out.
Snakes and puppies don't mix. Yes, please be careful, Robert. I know it's like all I can think of. Oh,
Now,
Mitt, we haven't seen you in a while, Mitt. How are you? Oops, I skipped your comment.
Now, when When my snake gets full grown, he's only 11 months old. He's only 11 months old. When he gets full grown, he'll be about 5 feet long, and he'll be about 3 inches in diameter.
That's a big snake.
Yeah. Ball pythons, they get about 5 feet and about 3 inches in diameter. They primarily eat rats and stuff like that. But my brother, he has a 4-year-old ball python, and he feeds it rabbits.
Wow. Nature.
But it's a really pretty color. It's a banana ball. It's a banana ball morph. Its morph is banana head fire. So it's got a white body on top, and then at the bottom it's like a reddish orange. Sorry, Trisha. She goes, OMG, I'm having a panic attack. Snakes. You're muted.
So obviously,
I'm going to miss saying that to you.
I know. I'm gonna have to turn my ringer on every time because so Christy can call me. It's gonna be weird being solo, but my live streams will be a lot shorter. We'll definitely benefit from that. So Mitt says, I'm late. I think the nurse was told to make the statement to keep some things of the investigation under the radar. And I'm assuming when you say nurse, you're talking about Kathy Mabbitt because she played a lot of roles in that town. And
yeah, and she's a professor of law at the U of I.
She had a lot of roles. But yeah, I mean, like when she could have crossed her arms when they asked about those injuries, you're 100% right, Mitt, and I'm leaning towards that too, to keep things from the investigation under the radar.
Yeah, this is being defensive.
Mm-hmm.
When she did that, that's being defensive.
Mm-hmm. What a vision.
And
yeah.
JB, I want to thank you for becoming a sub the other night during the live.
Wait.
I think she's talking about the snake. What a visual.
And I know there's like a lot. I'm sorry, April. I left your comment up and I'm like reading. Yeah, I think she was talking about the snake too. There's a lot going on in the chat. Marathon live streams from here on out. Yeah. What's technically a marathon live stream? Like
I think it's a live stream that I was involved with Twiz one night. It was almost a 12-hour live stream.
There's got to be you got to define what a marathon live stream. I got this new mug today and I was so excited. I showed it to Robert before the stream. Then he reminded me that we both have merch stores and I probably should have bought a mug from one of our merch stores. But isn't it cute?
Yeah. I just added a 16-ounce tumbler to my merch store.
Nice. Is it
It's glass.
Oh, I was going to say, is it a Stanley?
No, it's not a Stanley. It's a glass tumbler that has a mug handle on it.
Town banker, jail, and dentist.
Yeah, we definitely need to talk about backstage.
$12 hours. 12 hours. That's technically a marathon. Cállate, güey. 12 hours. All right, at least we have false claims against you. I'm looking to see if there's any questions. Okay, so I think we're going to call a night. I'm going to play this tribute video before we leave, just to ground us and bring us back to exactly why we're doing this. And also, this is my last live with Robert for a while too. So let me take them a comment. So I'm going to play this tribute. We'll be right back afterwards to say goodnight. And if you want to see this, it's on my homepage. And it's just a 2-minute tribute video that I kind of like remastered, and was from the 1-year anniversary. And just to put this in perspective, in just a couple months, we're approaching that 2-year anniversary. So. Uh-oh.
Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez,
And
I'm
without,
tearing up over here.
I know it chokes me up when I see it too. And we just appreciate you coming out tonight. And in the next couple days, we'll hopefully have a little bit more information to report to you. So I hope you have a great night. Thank you for coming out. And all of this is in the spirit of justice for the IDAHO4.
Yep.